Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? Well, it is currently 2:24 a.m. on this beautiful fall evening. It's cloudy out, and it is currently 61 degrees. It doesn't feel too cold though. And I just woke up like 10 minutes ago. I went to bed probably about 10:30. I set my alarm for 12:30, yeah. 10:30, 10:45. We went out to dinner with Jalissa, I was going to say. We went out to dinner with, I should call them that, actually, Jason and Melissa, Jalissa. We went out to dinner with Jason and Melissa tonight, and we had a nice dinner. We went to Cheesecake Factory. It wasn't very busy at all, and although our waitress said that our server said that she had worked a double, and she said that it had been really busy earlier in the day. But yeah, we had a nice dinner. It was fun. We sat there and talked forever, just about all kinds of stuff, about Halloween plans. And we're gonna get together for our annual Halloween chili dinner. And Melissa's gonna cook all of the chili again, which is really cool. And she and I are getting together. We were trying to pick a date to sit down and go over a bunch of the podcast stuff. So we're gonna do that one day next week. I can't believe that Halloween is next week. I feel like October has just like flown by. I got up today and I just had like a bunch of stuff that I had to do today. I had wanted to film a bunch of videos, but due to like some of these, like I had some recovery stuff that I had to do today. Due to that, I didn't get home until late, and so I couldn't film the videos that I wanted to film. I mean, I could have, but I would have been working until like 7 or 8 filming videos and getting them up and stuff like that. And at that point, I just was like, you know what, I'll just wait till tomorrow. So I just fed the little puppy dogs and hung out with the dogs. And then Alex came home. He went to hot yoga after he worked yesterday. And then he came home. What else did I do today besides all of that? Oh, I went to the grocery store and got a bunch of stuff. And I went to Target and I just like walked around forever looking at stuff. You know, I do that so much in like videos for my Peter Does Stuff channel, that at like different stores, that unless I'm doing it for a video, I rarely just like go to a store and just kind of like look around, you know. But I did today. I looked at the clothes and just like looked at the men's toiletry stuff, because they have like a whole men's section there. And I just kind of like, I looked at a lot of the grocery stuff and just looked at it. It was nice to kind of like just look at stuff. I had done this review. I did it last night for my channel, my review channel today, and it was a review of these vegetarian meals, and the brand is called Sweet Earth. And I reviewed one called, they're like, you know, like microwave meals, like lean cuisine kind of things, but they're all vegetarian. And it's called Sweet Earth Enlightened Foods. And I had tried General Tso's chicken and curry tiger, because, well, I used to love General Tso's chicken back in the day when I would go to the Chinese buffet, and so I wanted to see if this actually tasted like it. And then I also love anything curried, And my mom used to make this curry chicken that was unbelievable. But these had tofu in them. I'm not a huge tofu fan, but I thought, let's give it a try anyway. So I did. And if you watch my review video, you'll know. I mean, I just was blown away. They were so good. And other than like being really high in sodium, they weren't like really that bad. Like, they were high in protein and they were low in calorie, and they tasted unbelievable. Like, I mean, they tasted exactly like General Tso's chicken and like this old curry chicken that my mom used to make for me. And I was so excited. Well, and then there's another brand, something Rabbit. I can't remember what it's called, Hopping Rabbit or something like that. And it's very similar to this. And so I got online yesterday when I was like uploading this video, because I wanted to see if there were other places that had this Sweet Earth that it's called. I wanted to see if there were other places that sold it. That's what I meant. Oh, well, I actually wanted to see what they had like online, like their total menu of like things that they sell. And then I also wanted to see where you could buy it, if there was like, you know, certain stores like Trader Joe's or whatever that you could get it at, even though I got it at the grocery store in Fishers. And so when I pulled it up, it was like, you could like, they had all these different kinds. They had like 20 or 30 of them. They're called bowls, like a Chipotle bowl, you know. But then they had just like, you could get plant-based hamburger, plant-based bacon, plant-based. It was like all this different stuff that you could get to like cook with as well. And they even had like at the bottom, it was like, if you want us in your restaurant, like if you wanted to have like their burgers or whatever in your restaurant. So it's like this whole plant-based thing out of California. It was very cool. And so you could put in your zip code and it would tell you what stores near you had some of their things. Like if you put, like they had this one that was like, it was like a pepperoni pizza bowl or something like that. And I like put it in and it said, what it showed was that the closest thing that it had here was Target in Fishers. We have a huge super Target. So I went there and I could not believe how many of these they had. I ended up spending like $155 getting a bunch of different things to try. I got a lot of breakfast things too, because I think I need to be eating breakfast in the morning, like when I get up. And so, but, you know, like instead of me going to get like some kind of like fast food or something when Alex and I aren't eating together, this would give me like some meal options, because I don't love to cook. And then, you know, even just to make like a little salad on the side or something like that. So, yeah, I was really impressed that they had all these. I tried to pick the ones that were like the healthiest. The ones that weren't like, you know, super, super high in sodium and that were low in calorie and high in protein and stuff. So, because just because they're vegetarian doesn't mean that they're, you know, necessarily healthy. I also think a lot of those, that like a lot of them that are vegetarian aren't necessarily like the best tasting things in the entire world. Like a lot of people like that Amy's brand. I don't love that Amy's brand. I've had some of her burritos in the past and I just didn't think they were like, I was just like not impressed with them. But that's just me. So, do you guys know what I'm talking about? That Amy's brand. So I did that, and then, yeah, I just kind of like, oh, I know what I did. I started this, so I finished last night the Mary Shelley Club, which is the second book for Peter's Book Club that I read this month. The first one was My Heart is a Chainsaw. Okay, unlike My Heart is a Chainsaw, which I ended up not giving a great star score to. I ended up giving it 3 stars. It was funny because I was watching this video. Who is it by? I can't remember. It was some booktuber. It wasn't Books and Lala. It wasn't Kayla at Books and Lala, because she said in her video she had read his last book and she really likes him. And that was like so somebody else had picked this for their book club this month too. So it wasn't her, but I can't remember who it was. I was watching some booktuber, and they said that they were like, unlike other people, like other booktubers, like, I'm not in love with this author, which was interesting because I didn't love his writing either. I didn't think it was really that great. I was talking to my neighbor today, not the one across the street, but my other neighbor, because she's in the neighborhood book club. And I can't remember what the name of the book is, but that she was reading. But it's like some important book of right now that a lot of people are talking about. And I asked her, I was like, what did you think of it? She said it was okay. She goes, like, I'm kind of a little surprised it's so popular. She was like, it is really not that well written. And she was like, she used to be an educator. She was like an administrator in education for a long time. And she said it jumps all over the place. And she was like, he's just not that great of a writer. I can't remember who she said, who it was now, but she was carrying it down the street to the person that ran the book club, because she couldn't go last night to the book club. That's what she was telling me. That's why I was getting all my groceries out of my car. Oh, so anyway, so I finished the Mary Shelley Club. You guys, I was really impressed with that book. For a YA book, I thought it was very good, very scary, and I had no clue about, I mean, I kind of guessed a little bit about the end, but it was so much more than I ever would have guessed. So I highly, 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 highly recommend the Mary Shelley Club by Goldie Medalski, especially if you're a young A reader and you like young A, or young adult, young A, YA, if you like young adult, because it stays within the realm of young adult, and yet it's scarier than that. I don't know. And it reads very much like one of those, you know, those like 90s horror movies, like I'm Gonna Get You. I was gonna say I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker. I used to love that movie back in the day. I Know What You Did Last Summer, or Scream, or, you know, those kind of urban legend, those kind of, I think, do they even talk about that movie in there? Well, they talk a lot about horror movies, because they reference horror movies a lot, which was really interesting on the heels of just having finished My Heart Is a Chainsaw, which is constantly referencing horror movies. So it was like, I read these two books back to back that the main character is like obsessed with horror movies and constantly referencing horror movies. So that was kind of fun for the month of, you know, October and Halloween. But I finished that last night, and then I just, like, without even, I usually like look through my books to see like what I'm really feeling next, but I had just purchased this book called The Whisper Man by Alex North. I had looked up on Google, like, scariest books of all time, or scariest books of 2021, or something like that. And this had been on, like, 3 lists, which I was kind of surprised about. Number 1 on almost all of these lists, you guys, is always Salem's Lot by Stephen King. Like, and I said that if I get caught up with all the books, I may listen to Salem's Lot this month. And that would be my very first Stephen King book that I've ever read. But I also want to read a Patricia Cornwell book, because I used to read hers back in the day, but I think I only ever got like 3 or 4 in, and I don't remember them at all. I also want to read those Kathy Reichs books, like Deja Dead. I used to read those back in the day, and they made that Bones series based on that, because she's like a forensic anthropologist, I think is what she is. And I loved those books back in the day, and I don't really remember those either. But it's been a really long time. When I was driving around doing assessments for the state of Indiana, that's when I would listen to Patricia Cornwell and Kathy Reichs. I can remember. So anyway, what I was going to say, though, to finish that. But, so this book was always on these lists, and it's like Turn of the Screw, The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, There's, you know, it's like these mainstay kind of scary books, but then there's other books on there too. And so 2 on there, well, this one, I feel like I've read something by him before, or this book looks familiar to me for some reason. I cannot place it. But I don't have it in my Goodreads thing, so I don't think I've read it before. It doesn't sound familiar to me yet. But it's about this dad and son, and the son is like 6 or 7. And the dad is like a famous writer, and the mom has died. And they've moved to this small town, and where there is currently a boy like the same age that's gone missing, and they don't know where he's at. And the backdrop is in the same area, like years before. I think it was like 27 years before. No, 20 years before, because they say this one guy would be 27, and he was like 7 at the time. There was this case of this guy that was abducting kids and killing them, and he would whisper to them, like come to their window and whisper to them at night, which is why it's called The Whisper Man. But I have to tell you, I started this book last night, you guys, and I'm about 2+ hours into it. The narrator speaks really fast and has a British accent, and so I can't listen to it as fast as I usually do. So I'm still listening to it at 2 times speed, but I usually listen to books at 2 times 5 speed. So I can't listen to it as fast as I usually do. I have to tell you, I'm like really, really into this book. Like, this book is really well done, really well written. So far, I should say, on the heels of the Stephen Graham Jones book, but it is really well written. It is like, I almost kind of feel like it's one of those stories that you're like sitting by the campfire and somebody's telling you, you know what I mean? It's like, it's very scary, but I don't really know what it is that's scary about it yet. Like, the story about them just like moving into this house and whatever, it's all like very small stuff that's scary, right? Like they move into this new house, and then like the boy comes into his dad's room, and he's like standing at the end of the bed, and he's like, "Can I sleep in here with you tonight?" And the dad's like, "You know, we don't do that." And he's like, "But I thought I saw something." And then he's like, "You didn't see anything, there's no monsters." And the boy's like, "No, there was something outside my window." And it's like, the dad looks and he thinks he sees something move, you know. And it's like, it's all that kind of stuff. It's very scary, and it's very well done. So but anyway, I'm really enjoying reading it, and so I'm going to listen to it a little bit tonight. My migraine is gone, since I spent my whole video yesterday talking about that. What was I going to say? Oh, the other book that I bought was A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay, who wrote The Cabin at the End of the World, which I read that a couple years ago, and I loved it. Speaking of which, scary stuff, spooky stuff, the new season of Dragula is out. I ended up, after not knowing what it was forever and finally looking into it, I ended up starting the free trial of Shudder, and I just like ended up like downloading and paying for it for a year. It's all horror movies. Well, first of all, I thought it was like really accessible as far as like Melissa and I, for the I keep on saying true crime podcast, for the horror podcast, I thought it would give us a lot of movies. So it's like this, I don't really know how worth it is, in all honesty, but it's only like $5 a month, which I think that I can greatly afford. But it's like all of these horror movies, and then it's all of these like scary series, like by Elvira and stuff like that. I've never really heard of any of these series before. They're like, some of them are like the late night movie series, you know, like, you know, hosted by so-and-so. I don't really know why they're considered like series. Some of them are podcasts. And then there's a bunch of movies on there. Personally, after looking through it, I don't know that I think it's like really worth it. But I mean, like I said, it's only $5 a month. For me, it's worth it because it has Dragula on there. And I really want to see this season of Dragula, because I love Dragula. So if you don't know what Dragula is almost exactly like RuPaul's Drag Race, because it's like the same award and same prize, and that is $100,000. Isn't that how much RuPaul's Drag Race is? And it's like a drag competition. The only difference is that they're all spooky queens. And I personally almost kind of like Dragula better than RuPaul's Drag Race. I mean, RuPaul's Drag Race is like funny and pretty and all that kind of stuff, but I really, really, really like Dragula, and it's put on by the Boulet brothers. And it all started because of this like campy drag contest that they run every year. I think it was actually last weekend that they had it, and they still have it in Los Angeles at the theater, where they used to do the Academy Awards, you know? What is that called? Gromer's Chinese Theater or whatever. I think that's where they have it. But anyway, they do this like big like drag contest, and that's where the whole idea for Dragula started, supposedly. I don't really know a whole lot about the world of the Boulet brothers or spooky drag or any of that kind of stuff. All I know is I like watching it. I think it's really well done. I think it's got such an amateur quality to it that I love it. So I asked Alex tonight, I said, do you want to watch Dragula with me? Because he's never watched it before. And he was like, oh, I don't know. And I was like, well, it would be fun. And it's, you know, we watch RuPaul's Drag Race together. So I thought you would want to watch this maybe with me too. He goes, well, I'll try an episode and let you know what I think. And then I'll make my decision. I go, okay. So on the way to dinner tonight, I had him look at the trailer for it. And he was like, I think it looks gory. I was like, it is gory. Well, first of all, the one thing I don't know why they do, but it's like whatever, because they're supposed to be like spooky queens. But like the two bottom queens in RuPaul's Drag Race, like they have to lip sync for their life, right? Typically, unless it's like a different season. But they lip sync for their life. But on Dragula by the Boulet brothers, they don't lip sync for their life. They like do some kind of competition, and it can be like really weird. Like at first I was just like, I don't get this at all. But like it can be anything from like they have to, I'm trying to think of like some of the, okay, like one last year was that they had to get into like a boxing ring, the two, and like whoever like knocked the other one out first. And then that was like the first one. And then there was one where the other queen got to pick a tattoo for the other person. I think that was their bottom three people, but they got to pick a tattoo for the other person. And like, I mean, if you said no, that was fine, but you were kicked off the show. So like these people got tattoos that the other person, I think there was like 3 or 4 people that were in the bottom for that. But like, you know, I could like, if somebody could pick for me, like whatever tattoo in the world that they wanted, right? But you got to pick where you wanted it, like where you wanted it to go on your body. They got to pick what it said or what it was, which was kind of funny. There was one that had something to do with like pierces or acupuncture or something like that, which it was like all of these, more and more needles that you could put into like your back or something. I can't remember what it was. Like that one for me was really hard to watch. Maybe it was in the hand. I can't remember. But all of these things were supposedly perfectly safe. But so I never understood that, like that aspect of it. And then the other thing is like whoever gets kicked off for that week, they do like a mock like horror movie where it shows them as like they're walking home, you know, like, and they're down like this quiet alley street and they hear something, they're like and they like turn and there's somebody like with an axe like killing them or something. It's really cute how it's done, but it's very gory, you know. Anyway, I'm real excited that it's back, so I'm watching that. Oh man, have a bunch of stuff to do tomorrow, too. My plan was that I was going to, well, I was going to go vlog right as soon as we got home, but I was so tired that I was like, I'm going to lay down and rest for just a little bit. But I was going to lay down, I was going to go vlog and listen to like an hour of my audiobook, and then I was going to, go to sleep early and get up early. That had been my plan. But that's not what happened. And there's a difference between your plan and what happens, you know? I don't know. Most of my vlogs have been around an hour lately, or a little bit over an hour. Somewhere between like an hour and 20 minutes. I might do a shorter vlog today, so that I can listen to some of my book. We'll see. Yeah, my migraine is gone. I woke up today and it was completely gone, and I felt like 100% better. I don't know why I had it yesterday. I don't know if it was just, I just really have no idea. But I woke up today and I felt very clear-headed, like clear. Speaking of that though, interestingly enough, I went to go pick up my medicine today at the pharmacy, and I didn't even notice it until I got it home, but my pills look completely different than my pills usually do. And I was like, I need to call and make sure that there's nothing different about these. I need to do that tomorrow. I was talking about like all of the things that I have to do tomorrow, and I mentioned somebody who, I shouldn't have been saying their name on here. I know it's crazy that you guys would think like after all this time that I would feel like, you know, like, or I would know that I was talking to a camera, but sometimes like when I get talking, I honestly like, I really do, like in my personal life, I know this is gonna sound crazy, but like even to Tanya, like I don't say, like when I'm talking to people in my life, like I don't just say like, well, I'll say like my best friend Tanya. I always give like some, what do you call it? Like, not qualifier, but what's the word that I'm looking for? You guys know what I'm talking about, like, or, you know, my sponsor this, or whatever, you know? And so, I do that on here as well, you know, like, I'll say, like, my friend from my home group. So, I do that because I do that a lot in, real life. I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for when I say that, but anyway, so I did that. I don't always just say somebody's first and last name, but I do that often as well. Like I'll say like, oh, I saw, you know, like, especially if I know, like, let's say if I know 3 Sally Smiths, right? Or if I know 3 Sallys, I'll be like, I know it sounds crazy. I actually do know 2 Sallys though. I am like truly know 2 Sallys. The 3 I think I do know 3 Sallys actually. One was a friend of my mom's. But so I'll say like Sally Smith or something, you know, like I'll be like, oh well, I saw Sally Smith. Especially to like Tanya, where we know a lot of the same people, and we know a lot of people that have like the same name. I know that sounds crazy, but we really do. There are some names that I know like 5 of the same people. So I do that on here too, and just not even thinking, you know. You think like after all this time that I wouldn't do that anymore, but I do. I still do. Anyway. It's like a scary night to be like driving around listening to a scary audiobook too. I think that's part of like what I love, like late at night. I have to tell you what was so weird was I had stopped vlogging the other night, and I pulled into the gas station. I think I may have ended the vlog like right as I pulled into the gas station. Like finished it as I was pulling in, you know? And was like sitting there, and I had like pulled my like reading glasses out, and I was looking at my phone and stuff, and I like looked up, and there was this like guy looking at me, and he was just like he was like parked like a couple spaces over, and he was like just like staring right at me, and I was like, what is going on here? Like, this is, and I thought, well, maybe he's like looking at something else. So like, I like slowly like locked my door, and I'm like looking back down at my phone and whatever. And like, I looked up and I like looked over, and he was like staring at me still, right? And I was like, okay, this is weird. So I like put my reading glasses away, and I put my phone away, and I feel like I was listening to a podcast that night, because I go back and forth. I've been listening to that Paper Ghosts podcast. Paper Towns, the John Green book. So I put on whatever I was listening to again. I don't remember. But anyway, and I drove away. And it was like, as soon as I pulled out, and this gas station that I stop at sometimes is like out in the middle of nowhere. Like, not really, but like, I mean, there's not a whole lot else around there late at night that's busy or trafficy. I mean, it's like all these housing additions and cornfields and stuff like that, and then it's this gas station. Like, during the day, yeah, sure, I'm sure it's probably pretty busy. Well, I've been there during the day, and it is busy. And there's like other restaurants and stores around there, but at night, it's completely dead. And so, and right next to it are like these 15 feet corn stalks that go for miles, right, or go for like 2 miles. And so, well, not 2 miles, they go for like a mile. So anyway, I pull out, and like I'm coming up, and like this is like when you're pulling out, you're like facing the cornfields, and I'm getting ready to turn left, to turn right, and he's like right behind me, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, I don't like this at all. And so I turned, and then he's like laying way back, and then I turned again, and then I was on, so I went past the cornfields and all that kind of stuff, and I was on Allisonville, which is like this major road, like here in Indianapolis. And so I'm on Allisonville, and he's behind me, and he's like hanging way back, like way back. And, but then I noticed he was like speeding up a little bit and slowing down, speeding up. And so this is like the road that takes you past like Conner Prairie and goes through Fishers and all this kind of stuff. So finally I was like, okay, something's going on here. And like when I changed lanes, coming into Fishers, he like changed lanes behind me, and he was at that point probably like 4 car lengths behind me. And I was like, this is really, and it's like, you know, at that point it's like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, right? And so I turn, and I'm like, if he keeps on following me, and he went straight, and I was like, oh my God, because I was like, if he turns, like, I'm just gonna like drive to the police station or something. People always say that in my vlogs. They're always like, if you get scared or something's going on, drive to the police station. I'm like, I don't even know where the police station is. Like, it's funny, you know, after like driving around so many nights on end, you would think that I knew where like the police station is. I don't know, I'm like sitting here right now trying to think. I'm like in Westfield right now. I have no clue where the police station is. The Westfield police station, no clue. I mean, I see my fair share of police officers as I'm driving around. I've passed like at least one tonight, but I don't know where the police station is to drive to it. The Noblesville police station, I don't know where it is. Zionsville police station, Indianapolis police station. I think there's one in Broad Ripple, but I don't go anywhere near there when I don't know where the police stations are. So if I had to like drive to the police station, I don't know that I would know where that was. Isn't that funny? You know, in movies and stuff, they always show them like they're like right like a bustling part of the city, like, you know, like a big part of the city, but that's not it. Like, they must be like, I don't know, hidden away or something. I actually was asking my cousin back there to look up, I asked my cousin the other day to look up what those houses are over there. I said to her on the phone, she goes, what are they called? And, I said, I don't know what they're called. And she's like, well, I can look them up on my agent map or realtor's map. She's like, describe them to me. And I'm like, I think they're condos and they're doubles, but they're freestanding, like, as doubles. And it was funny because when she pulled it up, she was like, I love that you call it a double because they share a wall, you know? But she was like, they're really considered individual unit houses. And she was like, they were really expensive for what you got. They were like, she was like, they start at like, she was like, oh no, she was like, I saw one listed in there not too long ago. And she was like, I think that it started at like 5 or 6. And she was like, you don't get a lot for 5 or 6. She was like, I don't think that you would like it in there. And I was like, well, for 5 or 6, we can just say no to that anyway, you know? You know, it's interesting, like, the housing market and stuff like that, because, you know, I have a lot of friends of mine that have really nice houses, and, or even if I mean, I'm not talking, like, $2 million homes, but they have nice homes, you know, like, we went to this, it was that day that we went to, like, the chili contest thing that Alex's, like, coworker was having. Like, her house was gorgeous. Like, you walked in, and it had these glass see-through, like, barn doors that, like, slid open looking into this, like, office. And then the office had, like, all of this, like, wood paneling and white. And this is, like, in a residential neighborhood on the north side. It had all of this, like, wood paneling and exposed white brick. And then, like, this really pale, like, barn, like, flooring. And that was throughout the whole downstairs. And the whole place was, like, all done, like, in an off-white, gray, and then grayish tones with, like, these really, like, light, this light flooring, wood flooring. It was beautiful. I mean, it was absolutely beautiful. It was like somebody had taken, like, a farmhouse and, like, modernized it. And then the basement, I think they had redone the basement, but the basement was, like, cement flooring and cement, like, in wood walls, too. It was really cool. And it looked kind of like what you would imagine, like, if you saw, my dad and I, we went, and my stepmom, when I was, like, in high school, I'll never forget, because we went to the Patagonia store, and this place was right next to it. And it was this bar restaurant. It was open. We were, like, the last ones in there before we, like, headed home. And it was someplace like you would get chili or something like that. But, like, there was cement floors and, like, exposed ceilings, like, you know, with, like, the piping and stuff. But then the walls were, like, wood. It was really cool. I remember we ate there when it was, like, right near the Patagonia store on the outskirts of Chicago. But anyway, because I can remember I got this Patagonia shirt that I still have to this day. That's purple, and still have it. But it's like a corduroy shirt. I love it. But anyway, like, their house was so nice. But, like, you know, in looking at, like, property and, like, I mean, I think about, like, getting a place in Florida, sure, right? But, like, for me, the idea of, at 49 years old, getting in, you know, looking at, like, a home, like, for me to look at something that, let's just say, you know, if we were going to get some $500,000 home and put a 30-year mortgage, I'm going to be 80, you know? I just, I don't know, it makes me really feel old sometimes. You know, then, of course, I'm talking to people that are in their early to mid-30s. I mean, it's strange to me that my husband's 37, you know, he'll be 38 next year. It's crazy to think that my husband's going to be 40, you know, in a couple years. It's like, where'd the time go? It's like, life goes, we say it, but it really does. Like, we say that, like, life goes fast, but, like, life really does go fast, you know? I feel like it was just yesterday that I was getting excited about the summer and going to the pool. And now here it is, and winter's upon us, and it's been 6 months, you know? And I feel like it was just yesterday. And I even feel like life is somewhat slow for me, because I, like each day is so slow, because I love to vlog and whatever. And so, like, and, you know, I love to make videos, and I love to do this. But, like, when I vlog every day, it is really, like, a reflection upon what I did that day. And so I'm, like, I feel very present recently, and the vlog helps me stay present, but time still goes fast. It goes like this. Like, we were at dinner tonight, and like, Alex has a lot of plans in the next 2 weeks of things he has to do, and I was, like, talking to him, and I was like, and he's like, and I've got this, and I've got that, and I've got this, and I was like, before we know it, we're gonna be, you know, well, we already are talking about Thanksgiving, Caroline and I, because, I mean, it's just us, but, because our family's so small, but, I don't know. I don't have any issues turning 50 next year and feeling like old. We were at the restaurant tonight. There was this dad, and he was probably 55 or 60. And his son, because his son kept on saying dad, but he was like talking to him. His son was probably, I would guess, 4 or 5. Maybe a little, maybe even younger than that, 3 or 4. 3 to 5, somewhere in there. And I just looked at this guy and I thought, I can't even imagine starting at like 55. Not to mention when your child was 20, you'd be 70 and you'd like miss out on so much, you know. I think it's great if that's what people choose to do, but for me, I just, you know, and I think like, I was thinking about this tonight. It's like, I think with my mom passing when she did, it made me very cognizant and aware of my age and aging and getting older because she was younger when she passed. And it's like, I have so many people in my life that are, like, my dad is 81, Susie's late 70s. I mean, realistically, I mean, I've got good years ahead of me, you know, like, I don't know, like, I'm starting to feel weirder about turning 50 than I thought I would, and it's not about, like, the wrinkles or the white hair or any of that kind of stuff. It's really more about just, like, I wish time would slow down. Like, I feel like time is just going so fast, you know? I have these moments where I find myself, like, thinking about it, you know, thinking about, you know, I did this video yesterday, where I was talking about the dogs' costumes for Halloween. And I got done doing that video, and I was looking at this bag of costumes and, you know, not toys, but bag of, that PP used to wear, and I had some of his clothes in it. And then we have another bag downstairs, like a nicer bag that has his clothes, and this was just like a plastic bag of all his costumes and stuff. But I thought, you know, like, and they've been amazing years, but I thought, like, what happened to all those years, you know, that went by, like, just like, I feel like he was here yesterday, you know. And I feel like it's going to be the same thing with Tucker and Boo, and, like, and one day I'm just going to be standing there, you know, like, looking around. I mean, they, like, bark all day long, like, when I'm filming videos and stuff, and I joke with them, and I feel like it was the same way with PP, and, like, one day I'm gonna look around and, like, none of them are gonna be there anymore. You know, and I'm gonna be, like, close to 60, like, to the age that my mom was when I passed away, and it's just like, where did it all go? So I don't really like feel like I'm having a hard time getting older because of how I look. I don't care about all that. I really don't. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still want to look good. Who doesn't, right? But well, first of all, I very rarely get the comment that you look young for your age, because I think my white hair ages the hell out of me, but I very fairly get that comment. And if I do, it's something like, your skin looks really young for your age, but I really think a lot of that has to do with not drinking. Because I think that people that drink a lot and are, you know, I just notice a big difference between like me and my friends that drink regularly. Alcohol really does torture on your skin over a long period of time, and on your body over a long period of time. I'm not just like as being an alcoholic, I mean just like on regular drinking, you know. But yeah, I don't have a problem with the getting older part. I really thought I would. If you had asked me when I was younger, I would have said, oh, like, I'm going to dye my hair till I'm 80. And, you know, those are the things that I thought I would care about, but I don't. Like, those aren't the things that I care about today. The things I care about are the not having time, you know, or things changing. I don't like things changing. And the reality is that we don't even really realize, or that I don't really realize sometimes, is that things sometimes change very quickly, yes. But I think the things that change very, like, drastically or quickly, like, we're so forced to have to accept, you know? But it's those things that change slowly over a period of time. It's like, you know, I feel like one day the dogs were 6 or 7 and now they're 12, you know? Where did the time go? Well, I mean, in between there's 1,000 dinners and 1,000, you know, taking them out for potties and laying in bed, and yeah, and those are all, that's all fantastic, right? But it's like, it's slowly over time. It's just like I woke up one day and they were like, they're older dogs, you know, and they still seem so young to me. It's like Tucker tonight was just like being so sweet, playing on the bed with his lady and his baby, and I was like, there's your lady, Tucker. And he's just so sweet, you know. And then Boo Radley was outside today, and he's been like adventuring like further in the yard, further than he needs to go. And so I looked at him, I was getting ready to bring them inside and feed them dinner, and I said, Boo Radley, I said, where are you going? And he just like stood there and looked at me. And I said, Boo Radley, I said, are you ready for dinner? And he just kept on looking at me. I said, okay, we're going to go have dinner. And I turned to go, and he just like darted across the yard, and he started running, and he was so cute. But I was like, he's still running like a puppy, you know? And, I'm sure it must be the same way with kids, because, you know, my mom used to say to me all the time, she'd say, I feel like it was just yesterday that, you know, we were making Santa's Christmas list and talking about the Easter Bunny, and now here it is, and, you know, you're in high school, and she'd always say to me, like, where did my little guy go, you know? I think that was really hard for my mom. But I'm sure that it's like, you know, one day, it's like, you know, I see all these pictures of like Carlos and Liliana and the kids, because Liliana posts a lot, which I'm really thankful for. And it's always like, you know, like football games and then like dinners out and whatever. But like, the kids have grown even since the last time that I've seen them, you know? And it's like, here, of course, I moved my mom's back out onto the sidewalk because I didn't think we were having rain. And now it's like, do you hear the rain coming? But I'm like, you know, like, here it is, like, one day, and they're like, you know, Carlitos is dancing in the kitchen, and, you know, not making any sense when he talks, with, you know, baby talk, and now here it is, and, you know, like, he's, like, a really good football player, and all that, and I mean, it's just like, yesterday, it was like, where'd the time go? I can remember saying to friends of mine, like, when their kids were like 8 or 9, I would say, can you believe it? You have like 10 years and they'll be leaving the house. And it's been 10 years and they've left the house. Like, I can remember sitting there saying that to them. Like, you know, like, oh my God, it's going to be so crazy. Like, when they're picking a college to go to. And they're picking colleges to go to, you know? Susie's daughter, well, her one daughter her daughter that's closest to me in age, though, she's 7 days older than me. Her oldest daughter goes to IU, but her second daughter, who, like, I can, in my head, like, see pictures of her as, like, this little girl, like, 6, and Susie telling me these funny stories about she and her brother and stuff. Like, she's a senior in high school. She's, like, 6'1", and she's looking at, because Susie's daughter posted about, like, going to look at all these colleges, and I was like, oh my God. Like, I can't believe it. Like, it's crazy to me. Like, it feels just like yesterday that her mom and I were, like, talking about colleges and schools and stuff, you know? Life is this weird thing, and it's like, as soon as you learn to, I don't know why, I've just been, like, so emotional lately. But it's like, as soon as you learn to appreciate it, it's like, as soon as you learn to appreciate the people in your life, it's like, and slow things down, it's like, half the people are already gone, and half your life is already over. Or more than half of your life, you know? I mean, I joke with my friends and stuff about, like, oh, I don't even know that I'll make it to 70, but, like, to me, that's very realistic. My mom didn't make it to 70, you know? And I just miss a lot of people. I miss a lot of people. I've really been missing my Aunt Kathy lately. I don't even know what that's about, you know? And it's like, I talked to Caroline, and it's like, it's so weird because Caroline and I still have kind of like the same back and forth, like, funny rapport that we had when we were 20. Even though we weren't super close then, but, like, the same way we would talk to each other, like, in our 20s, you know, joking and whatever. We still have that today, but we're so close, and I think it's because of all that we've lost, honestly. Like, I think we realize that, like, you know, other than her husband and her son, like, we have, you know, I mean, like, and, like, our relationship has changed so much and gotten so much closer in the last couple of years. Like, unbelievable. In the last 10 years, well, since my mom passed away, but even before that, because, like, we would go over to Caroline's a lot for dinner and stuff, like, my mom and my ex and I. And then when Alex came into the picture, you know, my mom had just died, and my aunt was making a really big effort of basically, like, being my new mom, like, taking over that role, and just as fast as the rain starts, it stops. But, like, you know, inviting us over for dinner, inviting us over for this, a lot of holidays. We always did holidays together, but, you know, and I think that's why Alex and my aunt he can't even, like, we couldn't even have this conversation right now because Alex would be bawling. I think that's why he got so close with my aunt, because, and at that time, you know, like, that was, like, The 10 years prior to that, 5 years plus prior, was when, like, David was young and Caroline was, like, really, like, settling down and nesting and, you know, and so we went over to her house a lot. We did stuff as a family together a lot, and that's when Caroline and I started getting closer. And my aunt and uncle, well, I mean, I was always, like, you know, close with my uncle, but like, that's, and my aunt, too. I mean, she would always call, she'd say, you're my special, so anyway, but that's when I got really close with all of them. And so I also don't see my relatives on my dad's side very often, you know, like, I just never did, unless it was like, we would do like a holiday, like, family reunion, like Thanksgiving family reunion or Christmas family reunion, like, once a year. But even then, we didn't always go to that unless, like, my dad hosted it, because he would host it a lot in Indianapolis, and my family would come down from Fort Wayne. But, and, you know, my dad is the youngest of 5, so, like, all of my cousins were, like, exponentially older than me. Is that the right word? I mean, they were a lot older. So, you know, when I was, like, 20, my next cousin up was, like, 35 or something. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, my cousins were just always so much older than me. Like, my next closest cousin, she lives in Indianapolis. Well, that's not true. I have one in between, like, my next, I don't know how much older she would be from me. Stopped. But anyway, that cousin, she lives in Texas, and I haven't seen her for years and years and years and years. My next 2 cousins up that are from my, like, the aunt that I was closest to growing up, that I used to go spend time with on her farm in the summers, and I'm still close to her today. I mean, as close as I can be from somebody that, you know, lives like 2 hours away and whatever. But her daughter and son are probably, when I would come there and visit, her daughter's probably around 10 years older than me, 10, 12 years older than me. Because I feel like she was in high school when I was like 6 to 8. So if she's like 10 years older than me, then her brother is probably 2 or 3 years younger than her. So he's like 7 or 8 years older than me. She's probably my closest cousin on my dad's side. I adore her. And, like, we talked like a year ago for like 2 hours. I need to call her again. We live so close to each other, and we always say that we're gonna go get lunch and stuff, and we never do. And I need to go do something with her. I miss her. See, there's another thing. It's like, I always say I'm going to go out to visit Susie in Colorado, or I say I'm going to go and have, you know, lunch or dinner. Even with Caroline, I'm always like, we need to go to lunch. And she's like, I know, we need to, you know. It never happens. I think I need to make a list. I know this is going to sound corny. You guys are like me and my lists. But I do think I need to make a list of, like, people that are important in my life that I want to spend more time with. You know, because I say this stuff in videos, but then I don't really ever act on it, you know, and be like, okay, these are the people that I want to schedule dates with. These are the people that I want to, because, you know, my husband, he's very social. Like, we were talking tonight, and he was kind of giving me a runoff, and he's like, well, I've got this to do, and I'm doing this he's going to a Pacer game with Carlos, his brother, and then they're going to go out afterwards, and he's like, and I've got this to do, and I've got that to do, and with these friends, and I'm going to dinner tomorrow night with this friend of mine, and, you know, and I have friends, but I don't have, like, that kind of group of friends. And whenever I go do things, though, I'm, like, always really excited about it. I'm, like, always really happy that I have, like, a group of friends like that to do stuff with, you know? My sponsor's having, like, a little Halloween party. Our friends Aaron and Eric are having a Halloween party. We're going over to Melissa's for Halloween, so that weekend will be fun. But I need to make a list of like people that I love to see and start asking people to do more stuff, I guess. Lately, I haven't felt lonely, but I do feel like I'm alone a lot. I don't know if that makes sense, the difference. Like, I feel like I spend a lot of time alone, but I don't feel lonely. You know what I mean? Like, it's easy for me to go several days or a week without seeing really anybody besides, like, Alex or Tanya. But even Tanya, like, she's been working so much lately that, like, I haven't seen her as much. I didn't even talk to her today, which is crazy, you know? But, like, she's been working so much that I haven't seen her as much as I used to see her back in the day. So, I don't know. You know, there are whole days that happen where I don't talk to anybody on the phone. I think today the only person that I talked to was Melissa. And I called her about her, we were texting about dinner plans and stuff, and I called her, I gave her her Halloween tumbler that she, oh, do I have it in here? I should show you guys what she gave me. I gave her her Halloween tumbler that I was sent, which was so nice. So this is what Melissa gifted me from Disney World. They just got back from Disney World, and this is what Melissa got me. Are you ready? It's the 50th anniversary, look at that, 50th anniversary Starbucks. Starbucks is on one side, there it is, the Starbucks emblem. And then on the other side is the Disney emblem. 50 years. It's like this purple color. Isn't that so pretty? I love it. I was so excited about this. She got herself one too. She's like, I don't really know what to do with it. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, I don't drink like iced tea or iced coffee. And I was like, well, you put whatever in it. She's like, well, I said water. And she just goes, yeah, because Melissa doesn't drink a lot of water. And I go, well, you can put like Pepsi in it. And Alex goes, gross. And I go, what's gross about putting Pepsi in there? It's just like you put anything else in there. And he just like shook his head. Oh my gosh. Funny lives, funny lives, fun lives. And see, then this is the thing that happens for me is, like, I'm so appreciative and grateful for my life, but then I get all up in my feelings, and like when the kids say all up in my feels, I get up all in my feelings and I start thinking about this stuff, and then instead of being like really grateful for the moment and really just hanging out with the dogs, and like I think too much. Like, I think that's the thing. It's like I'm constantly in my head thinking about all this kind of stuff, whereas everybody else, it just seems like, maybe not everybody, maybe I'm generalizing, but a lot of people seem to just be able to hang out with their dogs, or, you know, like, I don't know, just do normal people stuff without having, without having to be like, oh, is this the last time I'm ever going to do it? Or I'm so grateful for this moment because I miss this. It's like, why does it always have to be that deep? You know what I mean? Like, why, like, it's just not that deep. And I know that, and I believe that, but like in my head, I don't know, I make it deep on some level. I get like sad and stuff about this stuff, and because it is deep on some level, you know? And because it's life, it's my life. But like, I don't want to think about the happy stuff and then have the happy stuff make me sad, because a lot of times, or often, the things that are like the happy things end up making me sad. Has that ever happened to you? Where it's like you're thinking about all these happy things, like I love the dogs, but they're not going to be here forever. It's like the flip side of that, you know? It's like, why do I think that way? Like, I always think of, anyway, I'm going to get off here now, and I'm going to listen to my audiobook and not get into my feelings. My feels, as the kids say, not get into my feelings. I'm going to listen to my audiobook and get scared a little bit. I think I have a little bit less than 4 hours left. I'm listening to it at 2 times speed. Here's the cornfield that I was talking about. Even if I have my brights on, you couldn't see it, but it is like, it's high, and it does, I guess it does go for miles, actually. It goes all the way back there, backs up to Conner Prairie. Anyway, I'm going to get off here now. If nobody else has told you this today, I love you. I hope that you guys are having a magically amazing Thursday. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya!